All right. Good night. Good night. Good night. And let me see who is on uh tonight. Who is here? Um it's glad to have you guys here tonight. Hold on, let me see who is here. See four persons on. All right. Let me see. Cynthia is on. Happy Sunday, Cynthia. Who else is on tonight? And I see one person is on Facebook. And I know the rest of my team will be here. Sean will be here in a little while. Um, who is this? Mike Myers is here tonight. Good night, Mike. Good night, Cynthia. I'm glad to have you on tonight. I'm sorry about the posting for today. As you know, I'm actually doing a series on a compound, not compound, sorry, more town up in the Maroon community. I'm actually doing a series on um, um, uh, yes, Billy. Oh, Billie Jean Bradshaw from Canada is on. Welcome, Billie Jean. All right. So I'm doing a series on uh, uh spirit medicine. I'm doing a series on spirit medicine, and I wanted to get your feedback. Please, Jim Master Songwriter is on. I want you to give me some questions that you'd want me to ask. But let me tell you something. I'm sorry I missed today. I actually had an event that I had to attend to, and this month is going to be very choppy for me. I intended to do about 4 seasons in on this series of spirit medicine. But let me tell you something. Spirit medicine is so wide, and in terms of what I want to cover, I don't think 4 weeks is going to be nowhere near close what I want to cover. I've been looking on the one blow, a herb called one blow, and this is a herb that is revered in Maroon practice. One blow, and I know so many. And I'm going to show you what one blow looks like. By the way, I'm going to show you in this season what one blow looks like. And this is a medicine. This is a herb that is used a lot by the Maroon practitioners because it's almost impossible to separate spirit medicine from the Maroons, because one of their reason for conquest, one of the reasons why they were successful and were never captured, was because they relied heavily on spirit medicine. They relied heavily on spirit medicine. So there are some herbs that I wanna spend some time in the jungle and mark you. It's very challenging because the terrain. I want to show you some herbs. So there are some herbs that I have in mind. So one blow is one of them. There is a herb called bogum, which is a herb. And by the way, there are some herbs that grow in these parts of Jamaica, in these Maroon hills, that grow nowhere else in Jamaica. There are some herbs there that grow nowhere else in Jamaica. But we're talking about trekking for 3 to 4 hours in the hills. In some instances, I may have to go to the hills and camp to show you some of these herbs. And let me welcome Sean tonight. Welcome, Sean.
Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone.
All
Dr.
right.
W.
So I'm talking about the series
Here.
that I'm doing called Spirit Medicine. And I was saying that I'm doing, I initially planned to do about four episodes, but there are so many things that I want to cover in this series called Spirit Medicine, because there are just so many herbs and there are so many things that I want to share with you. For example, I've been there in the hills, and the unofficial story that they have of Nani and the Maroons. In other words, the official story that we've gotten about the Maroons and how Nanny was basically, her involvement in the battles, the relationship that Nanny had with what's his name again? Another era from over in St. Thomas. Bogle.
Oh,
Bogle.
hey,
Right?
Bogle.
Right. Because you can actually where we're actually shooting the videos, there's so much history there. You can walk through the hills and you can go over into St. Thomas. And then when you walk over into St. Thomas, so one of the herbs, the Maroons have their version of why Paul Bogle was captured and how Paul Bogle was captured. So I want to get you some insight into that. I want to also share with you, get this though, I want to also share with you some of the herbs that Nanny used to be successful in her battles. So there's one particular herb that she could throw in the water that would stunt all the fish. It would cause all the fish to just float to the surface. So I want to show you that herb. Or there's another herb that she would use to turn the water into blood. So many times when she was fighting, because part of Nanny's warfare strategy was to get the English to believe that they were not fighting an ordinary woman. They were fighting a woman that had supernatural abilities. So that was a part of her warfare strategy. And so she used it to create fear. And some of the things that she did, her knowledge of herbs was so vast that she would, for example, know which herb to throw in the water to turn it red, to now say that she could turn the water into blood. So I want to share with you some of those herbs. There was another thing that she would do. I mean, this woman was phenomenal. Another strategy that she had was that when you're leaving St. Thomas to come to Portland, there was a waterfall that she could walk through that would cut her journey. But what she would also do is that she would also use it to say that she had the power of invisibility. So she could leave St. Thomas and appear in Portland in a very, very short period of time because the shortcut was through a cave that was hidden by a waterfall. So there's so much that I want to share with you in this series that I don't know if 4 episodes is going to be enough. Plus, there are many other herbs that they have attached spiritual meanings, spiritual significance to, that I want to share with you in this series. Good night, Victoria. So, and then there was if you watched the video last week, because today's video was kind of like a filler video. I'm going to talk about it, but today's video was like a filler video. I have a couple of videos like that I record when I'm not able to go and do my live, because what we're talking about is up in the hills where there's constant rain and mudslide. The last time I was up there, I actually saw a helicopter coming to airlift somebody who had misstepped. This is a person who is very experienced. This is somebody who was very knowledgeable of the terrain, that would go on wild boar hunting, and he missed his step. Greetings. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. So send the live out, guys. And if you can, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Please like, and I'm gonna start, because I really talk about liking, subscribing, and sharing. But for this season, I'm gonna ask you guys to like, subscribe, and share, because Sean, to do this season is going to be extremely difficult, and in some instances dangerous. Because
Yeah.
as I was saying to you, the last time I was in the terrain where I'm going to be shooting this particular video. So guys, please like, subscribe, and share. I was there when I saw a JDF, a Jamaica Defense Force helicopter, came, and I think I have the video somewhere, and I saw him sending down a rescue to pick up the body of a man who had slipped, and because he had missed his step, he fell about 300 feet to his death.
Wow.
So this is real. Myself, my son, and the guy who actually was traveling with him when he died, that guy took us up into the hills. And I'm telling you, it wasn't easy keeping a brisk with them because they move very fast. Because we're talking about persons who hunt wild hog. So they have to be able to, when they spear them, they have to be able to run them down at times to trap the blood until they find them. So this season is going to be very real. I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of herbs. And there are herbs there that grow in that neck of the woods that nobody else has ever seen. Because these herbs just don't grow where human beings inhabit. They just grow up in the wild, and I mean, some of them have powerful, amazing ability. There's one herb that I'm gonna try, Sean, to track down, and I'm doing this while at the same time I'm trying to preserve and protect you know
The habit.
proprietary knowledge. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah. And all this has to be done, and the habitat has to be preserved. Also, you don't want to go in there and
Disturb it.
disturb it. It's very sensitive. Some of these herbs, they will not grow back after you pick them. So I think
Yeah.
that's important to
You
mention.
have to be careful. So there's one herb, for example, there's one herb, and I mean, it's an amazing way of life up there in the hills. There's a herb that is called boregum, and the reason why it's called boregum is that it. I mean, this is one of the herbs that I want to share with you. When they spear the wild hog, if that wild hog escapes, that hog goes into the forest, and that hog is only looking for one plant, only one plant, because the wild hog knows that if it finds this plant and eat the bark, it's not going to die.
Mm.
And the hunters tell me about their experience with this particular herb. So only hunters would know this tree because they bring back the gum. It's called boar gum. So it oozes out a particular gum that when you take that gum, if you have a splinter or a wound and you put it on it, it accelerates the healing process. If you have a splinter in your hand and you put it on it, it pulls the splinter right up by the morning.
Mm.
So when I go to do my next episode, you'll hear me talking about the boar gum, and I'm gonna actually I've made arrangement to actually go about 3 hours walk into the forest to find this gum. There's another tree that I want to find. There's another tree that grows in the forest that nobody outside of those who go wild hunting know. It's a herb called wild cinnamon, right? So it's endemic to Jamaica, and it smells like cinnamon, but it's 20 times more powerful. And this herb is so valuable that when they go wild boar hunting, if they don't find any wild boar, they try to cover the cost of the hunt by bringing back this particular bark. It smells like cinnamon, but it smells a lot nicer than cinnamon, and it's a lot more spicy, it's a lot hotter. And here's what when they're coming back from their hunt, because they're coming in that region of Jamaica, rain falls every day and it falls multiple times. So if they're coming back and the rain catches them, as much as though they try to tie it up, once the water touch that herb when they're coming back, the water that runs out from that bag, anywhere it touch their skin, they have to drop it. They can't carry it down because it burns. So I want to try to show you that herb as well. I don't know if I'll be able to go as far in the forest as you can go. And I've spent maybe about 3 months there, living there, and there's so much stories that I can tell you. One thing I can tell you about the forest there is that it's alive. That's one of the areas that I would want to do a retreat. It's alive because when you go there, you literally feel the spirit of the ancestors. You literally feel the spirit of your ancestors. I mean, over the next couple of weeks that I'll be doing this season, you'll be hearing me talking. I'm not just talking about what I've heard. I went there, my wife and I, and a couple other friends, and we spent some time there. We lived there for about 3 months, and we have had first-hand experience of what it is like to be in that jungle setting. So I'm gonna share that with you. But tonight, Sean, we want to talk about the herbs that we looked at in the herb walk. Sure. I don't know if anybody have any questions for me before we actually go into the looking at the herbs. Anybody have any questions so far? Just put it up on the screen. And just to see if you were watching, I actually have the the plants, and normally what I do is I don't put the name on them because I want you to be able to. I want to jog your memory to see if you remember the plants that we have. It's in it's in order, Sean. Mm-hmm. But I want persons to be able. And so what we do is that we show you the plants. We show you the plants in the herb walk, and then we invite you to the live to share with you the medicinal benefits of the plants. And this is the closest we can come to being. So the whole idea, and I hope you're keeping notes, because the whole idea is for you to have at least 120 plants. If you come to Jamaica, or if you live in Jamaica, you should be able to identify 120 plants and the medicinal uses. We have what is called the 12 by 12 by 12 herbal initiative, and that is to teach 1,200 people 120 plants by the 12 months. Every year we do that. So we want to teach you, we're looking for 1,200 persons to teach 120 plants by the 12 month. And there's also a diary that we have. It's on our, usually there's a link on our videos to get it. There's a chart that we have as well. If you want to be able to learn the herbs by tasting them, we do have a chart that I encourage you to get as well. There's also another initiative. It's in the link of this video, and it's what I call our Indigenous Caribbean Medicine Initiative. So there's a bumper sticker. Good night, Jeremy. All right. I said, Jeremy, nice to hear from you, Jeremy. Of course, I don't want you just, you're the only Facebook person here today, you know, Alison Platt. You're the only person from Facebook that's on tonight. So send it out to some of your friends you believe need to be on for class tonight. We're going to be teaching you some herbs. And Sean and I, we're going to be talking. Mm-hmm. Jeremy says that I want to learn how to make root tonic like them, Rastafarian. Wow. And definitely,
yeah. One of my goals too, Dr. Ben. And, so join the class, Jeremy. Join the class.
Yeah, we have a class for that. And I want to teach. I want to teach you because there is a secret, or there is a way. Even if I give you the ingredients to make a root tonic, there's a way that it's done.
There's a fermentation period in the way you have each herb before you even, what we're going to call, turn it into a tincture or combine it with something else. Wow, the recipes are not as simple as we think they are. Some of them, you got to take 2 or 3 of the herbs, put them together, boil it and leave it for a day, and then add, and then wait, and then add the 4th and the 5th herb. You know.
And then when to sweeten it as well, because all those are important. Because some, so all those are important. There are different steps that you do. So definitely, Jeremy, Warner, thank you. I'm definitely going to, because it involves so much, we're definitely going to share that with you, how to make root tonic.
I think it might be important to mention, Dr. Ben, that's some of the things, I know, especially the liver cleanser is one your older podcast episodes, and the exact recipe, meaning what to buy and how to make it, is in there. You know, some of
Yes,
the cleanses are
yes,
in.
and
You
yeah,
go back
and
to Dr. Ben's older podcasts, you know, when he was a lot less grayer.
yeah, and there's a link on the website ICM TV. There's a link on there's a link. Let me see. There's a link on our website at ICM TV where um you can actually do that. You can actually get that video, and you can watch it. So that's my number 309 4783. That's our office number. And I encourage persons to, please, if you want to book a consultation, please do it through that. What we're doing now is that we have a team, because there's just so much. I don't want anybody to slip through the crack. Because I do so much, I'm not able to answer the phone and to spend time on the phone as I would want to. So, we have a team of persons now that are doing that. All right. So let me put up the first herb on the screen. And this is a herb that has many benefits. I'm going to let Sean talk about it a little bit. But I want to ask you, it says if it's the first herb. I want you to tell me, if you watch the series, which herb this is, and what are some other common names that you know this herb by. So that's why it's important to watch a series. Also, for Child's Month, it's going to be phenomenal. For our Child's Month, we may not be looking at herbs for the whole of Child's Month, but we're going to be looking at something that's even more interesting. So I want you to please send the link out. Please like, subscribe, and share. Help us to get the algorithm, because I'll be sharing so much come Child's Month. But which herb is this? Anybody know this herb? Anybody know this herb? See, nobody watched it. Nobody. The only reason why you wouldn't be able to respond is because most persons didn't watch, or if you watch, you weren't taking notes. We want this. I want this session to be an interactive session. So I don't want Sean and I to be here just talking. I want to actually, if you watch the video, and what you can do is open a separate window, go to the end of the video. All of these herbs are at the end of last week's video. All right, so Jeremy Warner says dog bush. No, it's not dog bush. It's not dog bush. This is actually a herb that's very good for the urinary tract system. You want to tell us some of the benefits of this herb, Sean, without telling us the name?
Okay, high blood pressure. It's really good for high blood pressure. You already mentioned the urinary tract system. Coughs. If you have that dry cough that you don't have a cold, but you have this cough. I think we've all heard it. I know for my daughter, I recently heard. I couldn't understand what it was because it had the heat. It's starting to get hot here in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
It's great for tuberculosis. It's good for your kidneys by way of ailments. So if you're having like a
Hold on, Allison says it's milk thistle.
Mm-mm.
Is that milk thistle, Sean?
It is not. It is not.
It's not milk thistle.
Not Allison.
Thistle, but it's a good try, Allison.
I could see how she could say that though.
Yeah. Because it has the purple in it.
One of the things I would love to for you to share with our people, Dr. Ben, is what is the ideal environment for some of these herbs. I know that I'm one of the people here, and thank God we have we say 365 sun in Florida. New York at all, but I do miss Chris tonight. And I would love to talk about if you know the ideal environment for these, or just tell us about the environment that you pick them in.
Very good.
But this is also good for other gas issues, right? So some things that we fail to think about is our large and small intestines, and and the how do I say, the traveling that anything that we eat does. And what we all feel sometimes is these little pockets of bubbles in our intestines, and they come out in one way or the other, right? I know for me, mint tea in the mornings, gets rid of what I'm just gonna straight say is just gas, right? So I wake up in
Yeah.
the so this is one of those things to drink also. And a great thing to do is to rotate them. Don't drink mint tea every day. Maybe you drink it once a week. So this is good for, like I was saying, high blood pressure. It is good for your digestive system by way of small intestines, large intestines. It's great for cough, and it's actually good for your lungs by way of tuberculosis. It
I,
helps.
I think we have a thank you, Sean. I think we have a winner here. All right, so this is one of my students from
Diana
Guyana, and he
Quincy, how are you?
says Quincy. It's Quincy, yeah. And Quincy has some one. Quincy, you need to reach out to me. I need to get you on the show, because Quincy is one of the students who is very advanced, and he has a lot of products. And I really, because this is what this show is about. This show is about showcasing um, what we have, because all of us we're on the same team, we're in the same family. So I really want to get Quincy to I want to get him some spotlight. I want, because he's doing a phenomenal work in Guyana. As a matter of fact, Chris is not on as yet. Chris, I want to connect you with Quincy, because Quincy, there's this herb that we're trying to get. It's called oh my gosh. There's a herb that we're trying to source. Quincy could possibly help with that. All right, so Quincy definitely could do. But here we have Victoria. Victoria says that it is what?
Good job. Let's
Red
applaud.
water grass. So wonderful. So come on, guys. I want you to put some hand claps on the screen.
Good job.
Put some hand claps on the screen for Victoria. As I said, guys, if you go to the video now and just scroll to the end of the video, all the herbs are there. Yes, Sean.
We should start giving away something to the people who properly guess these herbs.
Well, they don't have to guess it. They just have to watch the show.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but to encourage participation. All right, so Alison Platt giving Victoria some applause. Come on, guys. If you're on, come on, give Victoria some applause for what she just did, because she gets this herb right. As Sean just alluded to, as he just said, that red water grass, it's a very powerful herb. I don't use it that much because because of how long it takes. It's a very succulent plant, meaning that it has a lot of vegetable. And as Sean, right, see, Quincy giving some applause. So Quincy, you need to reach out to me. I need to give you the link to get you on. All right, every Sunday we're on. If you want to be on every Sunday, then I'd love to have you on with Sean as well. This is not my program. This is our program. So you're one of those persons that is doing a phenomenal job. JM Master. So we want to get you on. This is what this show is about. It's about showcasing all the herbalists that are part of our team base. It's about showcasing you, guiding persons to you, because you're a part of our family. We can say, yeah, this is somebody who knows what he's doing, and this is somebody that you can connect with. So thank you, Victoria, for that. Now, as I was saying, that this Sean was asking, the climate, because that's very good. That's very important. This plant loves shade, right? So it loves shade, and it's a forest coverage. So it loves to form a forest coverage. It loves moist areas, and so it's also very soothing. So it helps with a lot of inflammation as well. So this is one herb that what it's known for. It's a diuretic. So for persons who are having kidney issues, this herb has been traditionally used for kidney ailments. So this herb is very good as a herb for kidney ailment. It's very good for the urinary tract system. I don't use it so much personally, because we have to use herbs that are easily processed to make medicine. And this will take some time. I mean, if you put it down to dry, there's a high chance that it will grow. All right. So it has many, there are many benefits to it. So as Sean just said, it's used in China for a number of diseases, including renal diseases. It's used in South America, Jamaica, Malaysia, most of the Caribbean. It's used for coughs, urinary infection, high blood pressure, and gastritis. All right, so it is well known. Some of you watching, it grows here in Trinidad. All right, Victoria is in Trinidad. She said, yes, it's growing here in Trinidad. So it's found throughout the Caribbean. And this is one of the herbs. I see Quincy calling me. Quincy, let me send you the link, Quincy. Let me send you the link. Let me send Quincy the link.
Quincy, text me. You see my number down there. Text me. I'll send you the link. This is what I'm doing.
Thank you.
Everyone. Yes. So whenever you see me look away from the screen or look at, I am the technical aspect of what's going on here.
Right. So take Sean.
That is a big speaker. But yes, Quincy, to join the show, just reach out to me and I will forward
Wonderful.
The number is on there, everyone. If you don't know, it's 305-497-6097.
All right, so there it is.
And you'll know that you're talking to the right person because you will see that image as my WhatsApp image, right? Behind me. So you'll know you're talking to the right person, which is why I like to leave it in the background.
All right, so Sonia is saying that it's called Wandering Jew in Canada. Oh, so it's grown in Canada. It's found in Canada as well. She's saying it's called Wandering Jew.
Okay, that was one of the things I wanted to. I was going to jump in and say. So it is found in China also. Is that safe to assume?
Yes, it is found in China. So this is one of the herbs that has many benefits. Has Quincy reached out to you as yet?
I have not seen Quincy's text. No,
hold on. All right, let me just reach out to Quincy and Quincy.
Quincy, what's your number? Maybe you don't want to post it up there, but if you want to text it to me on WhatsApp, it's 305-497-6097.
Right, just reach out to Sean. Hold on, I think because he has messaged me, Sean, so it's kind of easy for me to just send it to him.
Sure, yeah. If it's easier for you, by all means, do it.
All right, so I just sent it to you, so you can join. I see Victoria says that grows plentiful in coffee and cocoa lands. Yeah, so it creates a cool coverage below plants, and it loves moist, cool climate. It's also a vegetable, so it can be eaten, it can be cooked, it can be eaten.
Now, how would you consume this, Dr. Ben? Do you cook it?
You can cook it as a salad. You can eat it raw as a salad. So I've eaten it raw as a salad. SG says, good night. I want to find out what is good for diabetes. So SG, please pay attention because we're actually going to feature a herb tonight that's good for diabetes. And I want you to tell me in Trinidad, this herb has many names. And it's also found throughout the Caribbean. We're gonna look at that. I think just coming where I stroke is my herbal product. So Quincy is saying he's just coming in. All right, so let's move on to the next herb. This is our next herb. Second herb. Anybody know this herb? Have you found the videos on YouTube? If you look on the video, you should be able to just follow us.
I think it might make sense a little bit, Dr. Ben, to just give everyone I'm going to say the medical name, right? So Tradescantia zebrina, formerly known as Zebrina pendula, that was the first herb. We can move on.
Hold on, I think Quincy is here. Let me add Quincy. All right, welcome, Quincy.
Hey, good night, Doc. I'm on the highway driving right now.
You're driving, you should be driving, you should be parked.
Yeah, I just parked my vehicle.
Okay. All right, so is this herb, you're in Guyana. Is this herb, have you ever seen this herb in Guyana? This is what Billie Jean. This is what Billie Jean says.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed. I've noticed this herb wrong. You know, I think it kind of stick on your clothes. Yeah, I've recognized this herb already. Though. I
Devil's
can't remember the name.
But this is not devil's horsewhip, you know, but it's related to devil's horsewhip. So with
It's
the
a
devil's
family.
horsewhip, with the devil's horsewhip, those seeds are actually thorns. But with this
Yeah.
plant, the seeds are not thorny. At least they're thorny, but they're soft. They're not able to hurt you. All right. Cynthia says it's African basil. No, this is not the African basil. Look at the leaf. Let me bring it up.
It does look like basil.
Yeah, it does look like basil, but this is not the African basil.
Like you said,
the African basil flower is not that long. We're gonna look at the African basil. This was the second herb that we looked at. And you want to tell us about this herb, Sean? And
sure.
This herb is used a lot by the Maroons. By the way, this is a herb that the Maroons use for type 1 diabetes. It's used for type 1 diabetes for persons, traditionally used for type 1 diabetes. So persons whose bodies are not producing enough insulin, this is one of the plants that they use for that. All right.
So rheumatism, right? Arthritis, dysentery, right?
Yeah.
It's good for eye problems such as glaucoma. You know, it's really good at healing wounds. You know, this is the kind of herb you want to crush up if you have a cut. To get a serum, it will help a whole lot faster. It's an antibacterial, right? And it's anti-inflammatory, right? So it brings on any inflammation that you're having in the body, and it has some analgesic properties. So it also helps with some digestions, and it's good. It's something you might also include with maybe trying to get over colon cancer.
Yeah.
So
this Victoria says it's also called man better man. I've heard that. So it's also called man better man.
Okay.
Also as well.
Okay.
All right. So yes, it's called man. But in among the Maroon, and I shouldn't even said Billie Jean is wrong, because in some parts of Jamaica it is also called devil's horsewhip, but it's not what we know to be devil's horsewhip. It looks like what is called devil's horsewhip, but it's not. It's related to it. The seeds are also edible. And it when it's young, that is when the plant is young. So now it's mature, it's not edible. And I should also use the opportunity each time I do these lessons, I should also talk to you about understanding the state that a plant is in.
Right.
Now, a plant is either in its adult state or it is in its infant state. I want to ask, what state do you think this plant is in? Do you think it's in its adult state, or do you think it's in its young state? And I'll tell you why that's important.
Is that for everyone, or we want to leave the audience to answer this?
I'll tell you why that information is important. All right, Cynthia says adult state, and that is correct. It's in its adult state. And how we know a plant is in its adult state is because the plant talks to us. And I'll tell you. So one thing that we want to do is we want to be able to learn to interpret what the plant is saying. So this plant is telling us that it is in an adult state. It's telling us that because through this spiritual benefits also. And I'll talk about that because almost every single herb that I'm going to feature, almost every single herb, because we're doing a series on spirit medicine, almost every single herb that grows in the Maroon area, almost every one of them has a spiritual connotation or link to it. Almost everyone, and this is one of them. Now, so that's this plant is telling us, Billie Jean said yes, it is telling us that it is an adult because it is seeded. So for it to be seeded, it means that it's the sexual part of the plants. The pistil, if it's a male plant, and the ovum, it's a female plant. The sexual parts of the plant are developed. So it has produced seeds, which means that it is in its adult state because it is able to reproduce. When the plant is in its adolescent, I call it adolescent state or young state, it is not able to reproduce. Now, why is this information important? This information is important because the plant is also telling us that it's more of a medicine than it is of a food. When the plant is in its adult state, it means that all the chemicals are are concentrated in the plant. The medicines, the chemicals are concentrated. So before the plant becomes an adult, it will have chemicals, and in some instances, it will not have certain chemicals. And that is because it is a food. You can eat it and it won't affect your liver because the chemicals are not that concentrated. When the chemicals have become concentrated, the plants have become more a medicine, which means it can't be eaten as a food. As a matter of fact, it means that you have to take a smaller amount of it because the medicines or the chemicals are more concentrated. And if it is that you take too much of it, it can potentially affect your liver or it can potentially harm you. Other things that the plant will do to tell you that it is an adult is that what this plant, in the state that it is in, this plant will also have certain deterrents in it. So this plant will have deterrents in the form of its taste, and it will also have deterrents in the form of its texture. Meaning that in its texture, it will be more fibrous. So if you try to eat it, it will not be palatable. It's not enjoyable. It's tough. It's fibrous. It will also be bitter as a deterrent. So these are some of the ways that plants talk to us to tell us when it is more of a vegetable than when it is more of a plant, and when it is potentially more likely to hurt you, and when it is not likely to hurt you. That's very important. So this plant is more a medicine than it is a food. And so we have to use it in small amounts. We have to use it carefully because it has the potential to help you, but it also has the potential to harm you. Right? So that's very important. Very important that we understand this about plants. So in looking at the plant, maybe the first thing you want to do is you want to be able to say, is this an adult plant or is it a young plant? Is it a medicine or is it a food? Because I can tell you that, okay, this plant is, this insulin plant is good for diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and you go and pick it in its young and tender stage and use it and don't get the benefit, you say, but oh, it didn't work. It didn't work because you didn't reap it in its right state. So these are some of the information that's very much important for us to know. And let me just say that one of the reasons why I'm doing this, and when I get to when I'm doing the series, one of the things that I want to do, because one of the things that's dear to my heart is self-reliant. With recent developments, with recent announcements, it means that a lot more people are going to fall in the poverty net. It means that a lot more persons will not have access to medication as we know it. And so this knowledge that I'm sharing with you is going to become even more important. As I said, and I've always said, that the next crisis is going to be a food and medicine crisis. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing these series. The next crisis is going to be a food and medicine crisis. A lot of persons are not going to have access to food. A lot of persons are not going to have access to medicine. And whenever something like this happens, then people are forced to, the only option that they have or that they know or that is available, and that is plants. It is the first medicine that mankind knew about, and it will always be the medicine that is available, especially to the most vulnerable and to the poorest that are among us. And so it is important when I do these lessons, one of the things that I try to do is I try not to only identify medicines, I also try to identify food. Because what is important, because um, we have a list of what is defined to be food. So in terms of our list of what is defined to be food, we have cabbage, we have callaloo, we have pak choy, we have broccoli, we have kale, we have what I call domesticated vegetables. And so when a crisis comes, persons who don't know vegetables outside of this domesticated list will pass food and say that they are hungry.
Right.
They will pass food and say that they are hungry. We are heading into a time when food is going to be very unaffordable for most persons. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because we need to expand the list of what people know to be edible and what people know to be vegetable. What I'm sharing with you, so we've looked at a number of plants. We looked at this plant already, and I'm telling you, it's a vegetable. So if you don't have any money, if you run, and this is one of those plants that even if it's flowering, you can't eat it. Because it's low on the, what we call the index of chemicals that would potentially harm you. So this is one plant that if you're hungry, you can find this plant and you can cook it with all your seasoning, your black pepper, your onion, your garlic, your scallion. You can cook it. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm also going to try to feature some of the spices that you don't have to buy, that you can went to forage for free. Very important that we get this tonight, guys. Very, very important. All right, so this is what we call insulin plant. You want to talk to us again, Sean, and Chinora is asking me if I remember Jokoto, porkweed, of course, because it's one of those delicious plants that we have.
Yeah.
But this is what the plants that we have. All right. So you want to tell us a little bit more about it, Sean? And,
sure.
And feel free to jump in anytime.
Okay. Yeah, as we mentioned, rheumatism, dysentery, if you have certain eye problems and wounds, as well as it's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and good for anal properties. You know, it's used to treat rheumatism. Of course, is a form of
inflammation of the joints and muscle.
Right. The roots are used for dysentery, so the whole plant can be used. The leaves are used for one thing, and the root is used for another. In some areas, it's used for eye problems. You would crush it, turn it into a paste. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Ben, and apply it directly to the eye. You know, and other wounds and sores that you may have. Right. The sap is applied to some sores, and it will lower the time it takes for anything to heal, as well as stop it from being infected, right? You can drop it in your ears, right, and it will help with headaches, from what I understand. I have not tried that one yet, but yeah, those are the of this plant.
All right, thank you. Good night, Stacy. A very good friend of mine, Stacy Bernard, is here. Welcome, Stacy. All right, you want to add anything, Quincy? As I said, Quincy is all the way in. Quincy is all the way in Guyana. Which part of Guyana are you in, Quincy?
I'm in Region 4 in the Mahaica district.
Okay, that's my next trip, Quincy. You know, we went to Cuba. That wasn't as much fun as it sounds. But yeah, my next trip is to Guyana, and I'll probably stay out there for a month or so, because knowing whether or not that climate can handle growing certain herbs is a big part of what we're doing. Because as well as finding these herbs in certain places, we also find the right environment to grow them in, where they literally will not be disturbed much by mankind. So this is not the traditional farming that you might think about. It's literally planted herb in some places, letting it grow by itself and walk away. Because as we know, Dr. Ben, you know, when you cultivate a plant too much, sometimes it loses its strength, right? And uh, the things that are best for you are actually in the wild. Quincy, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody. My name is Quincy Benjamin. I'm from Guyana. I'm a traditional herbalist, trained by Dr. Ben for a number of years. And I must say, thanks to him today, I was inspired. And with the knowledge that I've gained from there, I was able to actually, right now, I have at least 10 different herbal products on the market. Actually, I'm heading home because I'm heading home from one of my usually Sunday open market day. That's at the La Penitence Market Square right here in Guyana, Georgetown, Guyana. So every Sunday we have a lot of customers that would normally come to have access to our products here. So what I've learned here today, we have I have able to develop at least 6 different tonics. One is a immunity booster. The second, it's a womb cleanser and detox for female. I have also developed diabetic and blood cleanser. Then I have some aphrodisias for men also, right? And then we have our packet tea. Um,
Quincy, just give me what's your telephone number? I want to put it on the screen.
yeah, my telephone number is 592 six
Mm-hmm.
five nine thirty
Six.
two fifty two.
Okay.
Yeah, and my business name is Mahaika Organics. You can check me out on Facebook, right? So that's Mahaika Organic, Organics, Mahaika Organics.
Hold on. Let me just add that. What is it? M. What is it? Quincy. M. What?
Yeah, Mahaika Organics, Mahaica, Mahaika
M
Organics.
A Haica Organics.
Yeah, OR, yeah, Organics.
And that's one. On IG.
Facebook is, I think he said.
Yeah, that would be on Facebook.
Okay.
Yes. So currently I have with me, this is one of my um diabetic combo pack. This consists of 7 different herbs in this package here, right? That's I usually deliver to persons. We also have the tonic farm to this here. Uh, yeah. But so far the response has been so great in Guyana here that we have persons calling from all over the world that have seen our product, and I'm able to deliver and service our customer to the best of our ability here. And of course, there are so many rooms for improvement in Guyana, especially on the coastal bed that we are living on. Living here right now, there are a lot of herbs. Most of our herbs are well crafted, right? I also cultivate some of the herbs that I use in my concoction together,
Formulation. But about how many
right?
herbs do you about how many herbs do you use in your formulation? You think?
Currently, I use for the immunity booster. I use
No, I mean
over
in terms
13.
of herbs. What's your with all the medicine that you make? About how many herbs do you work with? You think?
Oh, I work with over 25 different herbs at the moment.
25. I do
Yeah.
you have a herb called oh my goodness. When you brew it, it's red. It's called um something bush. St. John's bush.
Yes, I currently am growing St. John's bush on my farm,
Mm-hmm.
but the weather is a little tough for them right now. But I have a few St. John's bush which I'm cultivating alongside with the gully roots. Gully root plants, I'm cultivating that. Toyo and blue vervain.
Toyo. And is that grown wild? Because I know St. John bush grows in Jamaica, but it's not very popular. But Toyo doesn't grow here. Um, Guinea hen, which is what you call gullyweed, it grows here as well. But do you use a lot of herbs there in Guyana in your medicine that are not found here in Jamaica? Do you see that?
Um, Most of the herbs that I use are found within the Caribbean belt, especially Jamaica. They
Mm-hmm.
might have a slightly variation name, but here we have our own traditional name, which we also give to them, or that was given by our ancestors, that we would have learned from them that we utilize. However, plant like toyo, it's a non-flowering plant. It's a plant that runs. It's a vine that runs. But
Mm-hmm.
once you pluck it from the earth of itself, it grows flat. Once you plucked it, after 4 hours, it gives off a beautiful fragrance. I think that is one of the best fragrant herbs that we have here locally.
Mm-hmm.
When you brew it, it has a scent like it smells like essence. It smells like chocolate altogether. But to get the real flavor out of it, when you are brewing your tea, you could add a little milk to it, right? That's traditionally known here. So it gives you a blend between cappuccino and coffee flavor. Beautiful herbs.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wonderful. All right, so
Yeah.
we're gonna be looking at some flavoring herbs. We're looking forward to hear so much from you and hearing about the plants growing there in Guyana. And I know next week, please be prepared to have send me some pictures of some of the products that you have because we want to feature them and talk about them and introduce them and allow persons to know how they can get them. All
Hey,
right, so
Chinora,
Yes.
I
all right,
saw.
let's move on to herb number 3.
Mhm. Incidentally, I just saw before we go to the next herb, I saw Chinora say that she has been taking herbs for years and she still has the same problems. Well, what are those problems and what herbs have you been taking?
All right, so yeah, because Chinora, so it's not just taking plants. Plants you have to know how to take them, when to take them, and for what purpose. It's not just to take plant. It's medicine, and you have to be taking them in a way for them to be therapeutic. You have to be taking it at the therapeutic dose. So it's not just the plant; it's when the plant was harvested, how it was prepared, and the amount that you're taking for you to have the desired effect. All right. All right, so this is our third plant, guys. Anybody know which plant this is? This is the third plant that we featured in our herb walk. And this is also an aromatic. It smells very nice. And I've
Really
used it.
quick,
Huh?
really quick. The scientific name for the second plant, insulin plant, was Cianthula prostrate.
Mm-hmm.
Just FYI for everybody in case they want to go and look it up and research it.
Yeah,
And
but also it's on the video. If they watch the video, it's on the video.
okay.
So the name is on the video. So the goal is for get persons to interact. So all the plants that we're featuring here, the common name as well as the scientific name is on the video. So this is just to get persons to get feedback from persons. So this is our third plant. If you watch the series, if you watch the episode, then you would have been able to identify this plant. But this is a plant that's from the mint family. It's an aromatic, so it has many many benefits. I've used it for women who have had menopause problems. It's very good for women who have menopausal problems. I've used it personally for that many times. It grows in the wild. It makes an excellent tasting tea. Very nice, very nice tea, especially if you add ginger to it. And Cynthia says that it is the
Looks like
African
watching the videos.
basil, right? So Cynthia knows. So come on, guys, give Cynthia a round of applause.
And it's great for treating fevers,
Mm-hmm.
headaches, intestinal parasites. Of course, that's worms, as well as being used for microbial reasons. It's an antioxidant, it's an anti-inflammatory, right? Fevers, headaches. It eliminates stomach aches, dysentery. It'll help you with diarrhea, right? So it's very good internally.
Intestinal. Mm-hmm.
Diabetes, right? It's good for managing diabetes. Is that type 1 or type 2 to be
Type
specific?
2.
Okay. So it's good for bringing down high sugar. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Right. Wounds and skin infections, right? So urinary tract, right? Skin wounds. I know that it helped a little bit with one of my oldest 21-year-olds. Her eczema, right? I do actually recognize the African berry and have used it. Childbirth, alleviating,
Oh yeah, that's another reason why it's used. It's also used to, I'll say it's used to help with not just going through menopause, but it's a female herb. So it's actually used for childbirth, for preparing. When a woman is going into labor, you can take it and it helps with the contraction and the cervix. So it helps. And it also helps with period pain as well. It's, as I said, um, it works well with herbs like vervain. It works well with herbs like cat's tongue. So if you're gonna make a, if you're gonna make a medicine, this is a herb that it would work well with. So African basil is a phenomenal herb. All right, all right. So thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Sean. African basil is our third herb. Let's
and
move on to our fourth herb.
good news for you, Dr. Ben.
Yeah,
Irvine that's in my garden started growing back.
that's good.
Because we when it got colder, it seemed like it withered away.
It dies down.
Yeah, yeah, but it started growing back, so that's why we love summers.
Yeah, this is another herb that that has a lot of spiritual connotation linked to it. It's used a lot as a spiritual herb in spirit medicine. As a matter of fact, this herb is used. I know it's used to give baths. It's also it also is a slight aromatic, slightly bitter. It's antibacterial and so on. So it's good for wound. And this again is from first hand knowledge. I've used this herb along with herbs like Madame Fate and Spirit Weed, and it helps. Now, it's used a lot in spirit medicine for what they call bad foot. Now, bad foot, bad foot is a name that is given to wounds or ulcers that are difficult to get better. So, this is one of the herbs that is featured when somebody said they have bad foot. People work in that market so they get blow and throw blow for they set blow for them, Sean.
Right.
And they want to get the foot better. Then this is one of the herbs that is used in formulation for helping to get those bad foot better. It's also used to give baths for persons who say that they're sick. For persons who are they said that are troubled with evil spirits. So this herb, along with Madame Fate and along with spirit weed, is dried and is used in a bath to help to ward off evil spirits. All right, so this is one of the herbs that are used in baths. One of the major herbs that's used in bath. And yeah, and side note, a lot of times, what they call bad foot, by the way, is really diabetic ulcers. So diabetic ulcers are passed off as bad food. Not to say that there aren't people who are involved in spiritual wickedness, but a lot of times, people, there's this lady who came to me who said, Dr. Ben, she showed me her foot and she showed me her hands, and it was all covered with what looked like psoriasis. It looked like psoriasis, but it looked like psoriasis. It was a cross of psoriasis and what looked like because they had turned sore, so all her hands were covered and her foot was covered. So when I looked at her, I said, "No, man." And I didn't use this herb. I used another herb, and I said, "Okay, just hold on." I went because I didn't have it. I went to the pharmacy, buy the herb, went to the kitchen, make the medicine because we didn't have that medicine prepared and put down. So I made it and I gave it to her and I said, because I know it's gonna work. I know what it was. And I said, listen to me, I want you to in 3 days' time. Why are you telling that shot? Why are you telling that? If man wicked enough, we could make some money as a hobby man, you know. Because I look at it and I know what was needed.
Right.
And I said, in 3 days' time, just put it in your hand and put it in your foot. And in 3 days' time, it's gonna be gone. And let me tell you something, man. I didn't say it to someone as if I was practicing spirit medicine. Because I tell people I don't practice spirit medicine. I practice natural medicine. But I know of persons who practice spirit medicine. As a matter of fact, there's a maru. I have a friend who's a spirit who practices natural medicine and practices spirit medicine. Spirit medicine, by the way, is different from natural medicine because a person who practices spirit medicine use a lot of chants and they use a lot of let me say they use a lot of along with the herbs they use a lot of, we would call it spells. So when they use the herb, they not only use the herb, but they use the herb along with a chant or along with a verbal pronouncement. Put it that way. So that's one of the ways you know spirit medicine practitioners different from natural medicine practitioners. And again, I don't have anything against him, and I don't want to make it look as if it's bad because guess what happened? Spirit medicine can also be used. There are some spirit medicine practitioners who repeat psalms. So if you're a Christian person, there are certain psalms that you can use as a spiritual medicine practitioner with herbs. And maybe one of the night I can talk about some of the psalms that you could use along with herbs. Let me know if you want me to do a live on that. Talk about some psalms that you can. There are some selective psalms that you can use along with herbs, if it is that you're having spiritual issues, right? So it's words carry sound, energy, vibration, right? They are sound, energy, vibration, and sound energy is what created everything around us. Everything that was created around us, it was created by sound.
Of course.
Right? So sound has therapeutic benefits. As I'm telling persons, a lot of times we as Africans, we tend to affix or appendix negative connotations to anything that is African spiritual, but once it's European spiritual, it's okay.
It's funny because as you mentioned that's actually a big thing these days. If you study history, I was reading about it and it's called actually binaural beats. You listen to it and it actually calms you down, and it goes to talk about how I believe it was Napoleon, made it a point to outlaw those things. So he felt that is what helped Haile Selassie to defeat his army. Because if you know the history of it, Napoleon's army in Ethiopia, right? Everybody got diseases and died before they even made it there. So they actually outlawed it, and Emperor Constantinople, right, who then tried to over and redirect the entire what they're calling the Christian religion, right, actually on what is the 432 megahertz frequency, because it turned out to be physically healing, or physically than people thought, literally repairing your DNA at the core, at the cell level. So sound, it's already past us. It's no longer just an African thing. I know I do it. I'm a software engineer. When I've been coding and programming all day and I feel like my brain is empty, I just can't even remember I'm gonna do anymore. That's what I go to sleep to on some nights.
Yeah.
It sounds very, and of course it says in the Bible, right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word is
yeah. So sound energy is very powerful. And one other thing I want to say is that um the when I in doing this series I want to say that the Maroons were able to be successful. They were able to be victorious because a part of their strategy was based on their understanding of the sciences and based on their understanding of nature. They applied to it a spiritual meaning that made because it is said that science that is not understood is called magic. Magic is
right.
just science that yet understood. And so they use that to their advantage. They allow the enemy to believe that you are fighting somebody that is not natural, that is not normal. And so a lot of persons feared Nanny because they saw her not as just a woman that was advanced in guerrilla warfare, but they saw her as somebody who had spiritual powers. And in the video that I did last week, I actually showed one of the a yard that I showed you. I showed you where even up until this day, there are persons in Maroon Town, in order to ward off persons, they will put objects or paraphernalia in their yard to make it appear as if they are involved in witchcraft. Because witchcraft is a powerful deterrent. If you are perceived to be somebody who has spiritual powers, nobody will want to steal from you. Nobody will want to offend you. Nobody will want to in any way to be on your negative side. So back then, um, and that is also one of the reasons why this belief was so powerful, or this strategy was so powerful, that it warranted the government at the time to pass the Obia law. So they believed that these people were so powerful. They believed so much in the in what was being propagated that they passed a law to prevent slaves, to prevent black persons from practicing, because they knew that if these persons practiced, they couldn't overcome them. They couldn't defeat them. So they were so to some extent it garnered them some success. So, in doing my research, in doing this series, I'm also trying to look at how much has Christianity eroded persons. And when I went, I saw a lot of persons who were afraid, and they almost tried to separate their Maroon culture from their Christian practice, because of fear of not being accepted. And so, if you were to pass a law, and mark you, I'm not saying that I support Obia, I'm not saying that I support witchcraft. What I am saying, though, is that a lot of what was considered to be witchcraft and a lot of what was considered to be Obia was actually the scientific knowledge that our ancestors had of herbs that they used to their advantage by saying that they were witchcraft. So, as I said, when I go into the series, I'm gonna try to find some of the herbs. There's one particular herb that if you throw it in the water, because of certain chemicals in the plant, it suffocates the fish or the aquatic life for a period. It stuns them and it causes them to float. There's another herb that was used that if you throw it in the water, it would cause the river water to turn. It would cause the river to turn red like blood. And so Nani and the Maroons used this to convey to their enemy that this was proof that they had power. And so it was one of the reasons why the enemy didn't want to attack them. They didn't want to go where they were because they were afraid of them. So they used fear as a means of their tactic. And, it's very important for us to understand that. So this is the third plant. By now, I believe everybody should know what this plant is.
Fourth plant, Dr. Ben?
Fourth plant. Everybody should know what this plant is. We're doing, so look at 7 plants tonight. It's the 4th one. Everybody should by now know what this plant is. All right?
On the button.
All right. I see Cynthia putting it. Right. This is called bachelor's button. So if you're wondering where Cynthia is getting this information, she is watching. She has gone to our website at ICM TV, and she has found last week's video, and she has scrolled to the end of the video, and all that information, all the herbs that we're going to be looking at tonight, they're right there on last week's episode of 60 Minutes with Mother Nature. So this herb is called bachelor's button. Come on, give Cynthia a hand. Thank you very much, J Master Songwriter. This is called bachelor's button. Thank you very much. I am Mrs. B. This is called bachelor's button. Sean, you want to tell us about bachelor's button?
Yeah, it's another herb that's also good for fevers, digestive problems. It'll help wounds heal quickly. It's fevers and colds, right? So lungs and your wounds. And yeah, that's about the basic uses of this herb.
All right. So Cynthia says, no man, I study herbs. So she's not getting this information from the video. She knows this herb from her studies. Right? Yeah. So this is bachelor's button. It's called knobweed. And it's used, as I said, I've seen it being used, and I've used it a lot for helping to heal wounds. All right. But it has many other benefits that Sean just talked about. It's wounding healing ability. It's otitis. It's used for ear infection. So the juice from this herb, you can juice the green herb and you can drop it in the ear for ear infection.
Okay.
So for persons who have ear infection.
And food poisoning. You know,
it's used for persons who are having food poisoning as well. All right, great. All right, let's move on to our next herb.
Yeah, if you eat some bad fish, it's good for you.
Yeah. So this herb is another herb that is used by Maroons in spirit medicine. It's used mostly externally, though. It's limited to external use. It's used externally, and it's used for a number of skin ailments, skin conditions. Anybody know this herb? It's named after its flower, purple flower, striking very noticeable flower that it has. Anybody know this herb? We talked about it. All right. Cynthia again. Not only Cynthia know where the video is. It's called Canterbury Bells. Canterbury Bells. All right, Sean, you want to tell us about Canterbury Bells?
Excellent for boils, right? That kind of skin ailments. Because when we talk about skin ailments, it's such a broad category. You know, as Doc mentioned, there could be things like psoriasis, right? Mm-hmm. But I know I had a boil in the back of my ear before, and that's what my mother used at a very young child. But obviously, I'm not going to be the one to give away the answer. So we thank for Cynthia for chiming in. Topical remedies or boils, skin ailments. It should be turned into a tincture and infused with other plants. Mm-hmm. Spongy gums, ulcers in the mouth. Right?
Yes.
If your doctor starts or your dentist starts to tell you that you have things like gingivitis, right? It's good to crush it and use it as a paste in your mouth. Leave it there for about 20 minutes. Wash your mouth, spit it out. It takes effect. Very, very good plant to be taken orally, right? And we, of course, as Dr. Ben mentioned, this is it in its adult stage, right?
Yeah, very good. And again, this is a plant that loves cool. It's grown mostly on a tree. It's very beautiful, and so it can be used as an ornamental. The leaves are what we use, so we get the leaves. They can be used green or they can be used dried. So you can macerate the leaves for boils, and you can just put it on it, and it helps to ripen it and open it. If you're having issues like gums or ulcers, you can dry the leaf. You can make a tea from it, and you can just keep it in the mouth, and it helps to resolve that issue as well. So this is an excellent herb as it relates to physical use.
Uh, you
Yeah.
want to tell us a little bit about what parts to use? Because I'm looking at the purple part, right? Which
Well, the leaves are what we use, but the flowers can be used. But the flowers are not as potent as the leaves.
Okay. Okay.
Right. All right. So this is our next herb. Which herb is it? Number four, five, six.
6. Yeah.
All right. So this herb. Somebody was asking about diabetes. Quincy, you know this herb? Is he there?
I think we
Quincy?
lost.
All right. Maybe. All right. So this herb, is actually very good for diabetes. Very good. It's also high in vitamin C. Very high in vitamin C, which means that it's good in terms of boosting absorption, and so it's good for a number of ailments. Um, Jackass bitters. All right, come on, give Billie Jean Bradshaw up. Round of applause. All right, so this is Jackass bitters. Wonderful. Thank you, Sean. Come on, guys, come on. See 14 persons on. Come on, give Billie Jean Bradshaw. All right, thank you. So this is Jackass bitters.
Great for a variety of ailments, infections, some, correct me if I'm wrong, some insect bites, right? Parasitic disease. So not just worms, but other parasites that might take over the skin and the intestines. And as you said, it's not only is it good for the bites, but it's good as a repellent. And that's a big one for me because I know that finding insect repellent that is non-toxic has been a big challenge for me. So
Yes.
it also helps with diabetes. Is that type 1 or type 2, Dr. Benegate?
Type 2. Type 2.
So it brings it down your sugar level. Yeah, that's pretty much the uses of this herb. And once again, I have the same question: buds or leaf?
Right. It's also called Jackass bitters. It's also called
Labota.
Zeba Peak.
Okay.
It's also found in the islands. Anybody here outside of Jamaica seen this herb around them? Let me know. Anybody?
I have not.
Zeba Peak. It's used a lot for cold. Very good for cold. Very good for cold. We use it as a tincture. You use it as a tea because it's high in vitamin C. And then because it's high in vitamin C and it's antibacterial and antiviral, the vitamin C helps to increase its antibacterial and its antiviral capabilities. So this herb, it works very fast for persons who have cold and flus. It's called
Norelia.
Jackass bitters. I'm trying to remember the next common name. Billie Jean, you know the next common name for it? Jackass bitters. And it's called Jackass bitters because it's said that you'd have to be a jackass to drink something that bitter. Very bitter. All right.
A lot of things that are bitter are good for you.
Yes. Trying to remember the next name for it. Zebra Peak, Jackass bitters, and don't remember the next common name. It's known by in Jamaica and in most countries. Can't remember it. All right, let's move on to our next herb. And this one, I heard Quincy was talking about a fragrant herb. This herb, if you go in the Blue Mountains, if you go up in the hills, this herb grows a white flower that's very strong. Very, very strong. Anybody know which herb this is? Um, and when I talk about Jamaica losing out, this is a herb that if you go in the Blue Mountains, once it reach about 6 o'clock, thank you, Cynthia. Once you reach about 6 o'clock, the entire forest becomes scented with this particular flower, and it grows wild in the Blue Mountains. This is actually a multi-billion-dollar business because you can actually make an essence from it. Thank you very much, Jam. Come on, give Cynthia a hand. You can actually make a perfume from this. This is a multi-billion-dollar. So, we could actually have a distillation processing plant where the flowers can be extracted to make a very powerful perfume. This grows wild in the hills along with herbs like the ilang ilang, which we've featured before. Another herb that is used in Chanel number I think it's Chanel number 5 or Chanel number 8. It grows wild in the hills as well.
Wow.
All right. So this is herb number what? 7. You want to tell us about the medicinal benefits of this herb?
Absolutely. So it grows in several places. The Native Americans also used it, right? It's good for coughs, colds, heart trouble, and it's a stimulant and an appetite enhancer, which is what some gingers are. It's a root tea, right? If you drink it as a tea, you can use it for your coughs, for your colds, for bronchitis. So very good for the respiratory system. It's good for indigestion and flatulence, and painful spasms of the bowels and the stomach. People who have those knows exactly what we're talking about. It can be used to treat nervous conditions. If you have shaky leg, that's what I call it. If you can't stand still, and cramps, right? And
so it's anti-inflammatory, used for a lot of pain. And when you dig it up, the rhizome, it grows rhizomes that look just like ginger. Matter of fact, you can't look at it and distinguish it from ginger. It looks just like ginger. The only difference is that it smells differently and it's not as pungent. So it's not as pungent as the ginger that we know, but it is very good for inflammation. So even for a number of ailments, a number of chronic inflammatory ailments, this herb can be used for that. You can make a tea, you can make a poultice. It's good for muscles, good for the muscles as well. It's a diaphoretic, which means it helps with fever. For persons who have fever, this herb helps you to sweat. And sweating is a form of detoxification. So this again is another herb that you would want to use if you're doing to use in a sauna. So you can get it, you can dry it, you can grate it, add it to hot water, and you can put it in a bath. Wrap yourself in a towel and use it as a sauna to help to detoxify the body. For persons who have been poisoned, for persons who are suffering from a flu or something like that, this herb is excellent for treating those ailments. As I said, it grows wild in the hills. When we're going up into the hills, you'll see it growing on both sides of the road. And when you go into the hills, it grows wild throughout the hills. It covers the hillside. This herb is a phenomenal herb. Wild ginger. Very good herb. And then we come to our last herb. This herb is also a food.
And I do not like it. I don't like the taste of it. But you can use it to treat fever, coughs, wounds. It's good for liver troubles and tooth decay. Believe it or not, it will slow down and reverse tooth decay. If you're having reproductive problems, male or female, and arterial hypertension, that is to say, when your arteries are starting to get clogged and someone wants to say that you are having high blood pressure because your arteries are tight. Your arteries getting clogged with all kinds of things. So
right. Everybody know this one.
everybody knows this
So
one.
Cynthia says it's Susumba.
Of course.
Prudy Wilson says it's Susumba. And Billie
Well, if it
Jean
wasn't
says
it's some.
Susumba. Or Gully Bean. And again, it is slightly bitterish, especially when it becomes mature. When it's young, it's soft and tender, but when it gets harder, it loses its texture change and its taste changes. So it's more of a medicine than a food, and it can also work as a laxative. It has laxative abilities, so it will send you to the toilet. All right. Thank you, JM Master. Thank you. I am Miss D. Tonight we've had a very lively class, very very lively class, and so that's 7 more herbs that if you didn't know, you could add them to your list of herbs that you know. I also want to inform you that all these herbs. There are many foods, there are many medicines out there that can help you, and the goal is to really is to really showcase these herbs. I wanted to show you something, guys.
So how would you use it for tooth decay?
You would make a tea from it.
Okay, and just drink it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You'd make a tea from it. And I wanted to share this with you. How do I do this now? Okay, yeah. Here it is. How do I do this? Okay. Ooh. I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. I wanted. We're having. We're having a event that's coming up, and I also want to share this with you. I'm trying to find the right screen. I don't remember how to do it. I don't know how to do it. But if you can, okay. All right, Prince, are you there? We're having a retreat that's coming up, and it's going to be next 22nd to the 25th. We're going to be doing that up by Nonsuch, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be very informative. I'd love for you to, as much of you as is possible, to come out. It's on our website. It's on our website, and then we're promoting the concept of indigenous Caribbean medicine. We want to create awareness, and one of the ways in which we want to do that is through we've created a bumper sticker. We've created a bumper sticker. Let me see if I can get the bumper sticker and share it with you. And the idea is to have it on cars, but what we want to do, I want to use it as a means of fundraising, because we have what is called the International Guild of Indigenous Caribbean Medicine, which is a guild. It's a body that we have formed, and the goal is to create an awareness as it relates to indigenous Caribbean medicine. And there's no better way to create awareness or to share with persons than to have a bumper sticker. Persons can um, go to the website and they can purchase the bumper sticker, and they can just give it as a gift to somebody. They can give it as a gift to somebody. I'm gonna share the what it looks like, but you can go to our website and you can get it, and then after getting it, you can give it to somebody as a gift. Hold on, let me just see if I can get it up here.
Did Quincy make it in? Did you make it in, Quincy? Doesn't sound like it.
I'm gonna try. All right, so that's it. I support the Indigenous Caribbean Medicine Initiative, Free Medicine, this, and that's our website. So this is a bumper sticker that you can. It's about $15, I think, for about 5 or something like that. But that's one way in which you can support what we're doing. My goal is to really see consistency among practitioners. I want to see uniformity as it relates to practice. And we want to see practitioners that have knowledge. My goal is to really see more practitioners being trained to provide healthcare services to our people, to persons of Caribbean and African descent. As I said, I'm not racist, but I do believe that we are marginalized, and I do believe that we need focus and attention because everybody else is being catered for, even though we make up a significant population. How much for the ticket? It's a bumper sticker, Billie Jean, and it's on our website at IGICM.org. IGICM.org. If you go to our website, IGICM.org, and if you go to the banner, the products, IGICM.org, that's it. Then you can see it. It's about what is it? It's about something like $15 for 5. So maybe you can buy more than 5 and just give them away. Just give them the person to stick on their bumper to create awareness. The proceeds from this, we want to use it to help have stipend for the person, expenses as it relates to running the guild, because there are expenses, but this is one of the ways in which we start to create awareness. Another way that we also seek to create awareness is based on the class that the gentleman asked for, as it relates to creating herbal roots. So every single month we are supposed to do a webinar on a topic, and that is the first webinar that I want to do. The first webinar that I want to do is how to create herbal tonics, how to choose the different herbs that make up the formulation, and how to process it, how to do it. And the goal is to really use this now as a means of raising funds to support the guild. And I'll talk about the guild and what is the purpose of the guild, because we have to, as a people, we need a system of practicing medicine that is uniform, that is consistent, as it relates to us as a people. All right, we need that. And so Indigenous Caribbean Medicine is a name that we have formed, that we have coined. Indigenous Caribbean Medicine is a name that we have coined that represents our practice of natural medicine here in the Caribbean. What we're saying is that the Caribbean has a uniquely distinctive flavor of practicing medicine that is based on the knowledge, the different knowledge bases, and the different people groups that are native to the Caribbean, but also the different people groups that were imported into the Caribbean. That blend of knowledge gives us a very distinctive practice of herbalism that is unlike Ayurvedic medicine, that is unlike Kampa, that is unlike traditional Chinese medicine. And I'm saying that we need to own this. This needs to be our medicine. So, as I said, a few medicine this. And so it's going to be our responsibility to get it across the Caribbean. It is going to be our responsibility to share it. As I'm saying that a lot of announcements were made, a lot of pronouncements were made, a lot of development are taking place, and it is going to affect us as a people. We need, as a people, to safeguard and revisit certain aspects of our culture, that preserved us up until now. We are alive because of the medicine. We didn't know about the medicine now. What we know about is the medicine back then. Did it work? Hey, we are here. If it didn't work, we wouldn't be alive. We wouldn't be here. This system of medicine is what kept us alive. It doesn't need proving. It doesn't need any serious establishing. Yes, there are some work that needs to be done to refine it. Yes, there are areas for improvement, but the most important thing is that it works. This is our medicine, and I'm gonna drive to get this medicine uniformly structured, structured in such a way where it can be preserved and it can be protected and it can move on from generation to generation. So that's the reason. One of my goals is to get this medicine out there. We need to know about the medicine that is in Guyana. We need to know about the medicine that is Trinidad. In Trinidad, we need to know about the medicine that is in Barbados, and we need to know how to use these medicines. One thing that we're seeing is that as the world evolves and the world changes, what we are now seeing is that we are seeing certain parts of the world coming together for their own mutual benefit. And so we as Caribbean people have to understand that we are a community. We are the closest neighbors. And so we need to now begin to share our resources. We need to know how to share our abilities. We need to know how to share what we have to benefit ourselves. So we are our closest trading members. And so we need to understand, as I said, the next crisis is going to be a food and medicine crisis. Don't believe that the attack is only going to be on electronics, or it's only going to be on clothing. It is going to be an attack on food and medicine. And so many people are accustomed to the convenient way in which food and medicine find its way into the Caribbean that we have forgotten how to survive. We have forgotten how to use what we have. And that's very dangerous. There's nothing wrong in using what we can get outside. But while we are using what we are getting outside, please remember that we need to know how to use what we have. We need to know what is edible around us. We need to know what is medicinal around us.
There is nothing new under the earth. One of the most important things to keep in mind. You know, every medicine, every pill, everything that you see in what's called modern medicine came from exactly here. And the reason why they put it in pill form and redistribute it for you is so you don't know where it came from. You know, and as we are going through today's times, I mean, we can all see the political atmosphere, and we can all see what's going on. The medicines are out there and the cures are out there, and it's for us to actually know where they are. Like Dr. Ben said, sometimes you pass food on the street and you really don't even know it's food. I know he's come to my farm and garden here in Florida, and we went out for a herb walk, and we were all completely astonished with what we found, including himself. He didn't think these things were in Florida, but that's one of the things we do. We try to we cultivate the herbs, we teach you about them, and we implore you to go out there and learn something and teach someone, even if it is us.
Right. All being willing, next week, I want to invite a very good friend of mine, if she has the time, and I want to talk about creating food forests. I want to talk about permaculture, especially what is permaculture. There's a training coming up, and I'm saying that we have to know what we have around us. We have to know how to use it. Um, a number of countries, including ourselves, have made the mistake to depend on foreigners for our food security. We have some have depended on foreigners for their security, and we are seeing that the world is changing, the world is evolving, and a lot of people are being squeezed because they have outsourced some very critical aspects of their of their nation, and
Yeah.
we too have found ourselves um, being guilty of that, where we have outsourced critical components of our culture. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not for modernism, I'm not for advancement, but I'm saying that whilst we are doing this, we should also seek to preserve and to protect what we have. Seek to preserve and protect what we have. In China, Western medicine is welcome, but guess what? Alongside Western medicine, there's traditional Chinese medicine, because that's the medicine that they know, that's the medicine that they trust, that's the medicine that works for them. Why shouldn't we as a people have our traditional medicine preserved, protected? Why is it, and I still ask the question, why is it, and if it is that these Caribbean countries respect indigenous Caribbean medicine, if you respect the medicine that your grandmother used to help you when you were young, why is it that even within the structure of what we call our ministries of health, why is it that we don't have a unit that's dedicated to natural medicine? I believe that this is actually an insult to our ancestors.
And
It's
why?
it's an insult to what they represent and what they have fought for. We're actually saying that what you had was no good. So we have thrown away what has kept us alive, what has protected us, what has preserved us for centuries. And we have replaced it with an outside knowledge that is still playing catch up, is still validating what our ancestors has told us. And as I say, what I'm saying that I'm still saying that there's a lot of improvement, and there's a lot of space for improvement as it relates to what our grandmothers, what our great grandmothers knew. But we should add to that body of knowledge. We shouldn't be ashamed of it, or we shouldn't hide it. And so this bumper sticker, I support the Indigenous Caribbean Medicine Initiative. And when you go to the link, it explains what exactly is the Indigenous Caribbean Medicine Initiative. What is our mission? Our mission is to protect and document traditional herbal knowledge. That's one of the things we want. We want to document traditional herbal knowledge. The second thing we want to support herbalists, healers, and natural medicine practitioners. That's what this initiative is about. We want to promote ethical and sustainable use of medicinal plants. Because, yes, there's a lot of undesirables out there. There's a lot of persons out there that practice natural medicine in an unsustainable way, that actually harm the environment in order to harvest their raw material. So we want to bring education, we want to bring knowledge, so that the raw material, not only the knowledge of how to use these herbs, but these herbs can be around for millenniums to come. There's one particular herb that comes to my mind. I don't know if you know this herb, Quincy. It's called Contribo. Contribo is a herb that we use for diabetes, and this is a herb that I've traveled so many places around Jamaica.
Echo.
It's an echo. And I've only seen this herb growing in one place. So, recently we decided that we're gonna find an alternative for our diabetic formula to reduce our use of this herb. And then what we want to do now, we want to implement some program to propagate more of this herb. So, the Indigenous Caribbean Medicine Initiative is designed to protect and document traditional knowledge of herbal knowledge, support herbalist healers and natural medicine practitioners, promote ethical, sustainable use of medicinal plants, offer mentorship and training in indigenous healing arts. This is not just an art, it's a science, but one thing that we want to do is we want to provide training and mentorship. We want to see consistency and uniformity. This is one of the reasons why we have created the International Guild of Indigenous Caribbean Medicine. Because indigenous medicine can only be verified, can only be validated. Indigenous medicine or indigenous knowledge can only be validated by indigenous people. So we are not going through the route, our practitioners, we're not going through the route of board certification. We are going through the route of what I call peer-to-peer certification. So one of the purpose of the guild is to offer peer certification to practicing members. So we can say this is Quincy Benjamin, he is a certified practitioner. This is Sean Lennon, he's a certified practitioner. So if you're looking for persons who can offer you assistance, you don't have to try to burden Dr. Ben, because I can only do so much and no more. So one of the things I'm trying to do is to what I call not just outsource, but to decentralize myself, to decentralize the little that I know, but also to have other persons who have a wealth of knowledge be a part of that pool, be a part of that group that are willing to decentralize their knowledge to the younger generation that is coming. Now, I'm not looking for the government. So I'm not looking for the government of Jamaica. But I mean, I would love to have the support of the government of Jamaica. But I'm not looking for the government of Jamaica. I'm looking for the people who believe in this to help to spread this initiative. I'm not looking for the government of Guyana, the government of Trinidad, but I'd love to have their support to help to spread this initiative. What I'm looking for is people power. People who says, yes, I believe we need this. I'm willing to buy into this vision. How can I help? One reason you can help is by purchasing these bumper stickers and being proud displayers of this knowledge. So person, what's Indigenous Caribbean Medicine? What is the Indigenous Caribbean Medicine Initiative? What is it? So it opens the door. It creates the opportunity for us to share. Then we want to host retreats, workshops, and community-based wellness programs. So it's not just to share the knowledge, it's not just to inform persons, but we also want to host functions where persons can come. Next month, we have a whole series lined up for Child's Month, for Mother's Day. And it's going to be featuring what I call natural birth. So I have what is called a midwife and a birth doula that's coming on. That's going to talk about something that's also very dear to my heart. And that is the fact that our modern society has taught that giving birth is something that should be handled by the hospitals.
Right. And here,
when a person dies in the hospital, that person is given to a funeral home, and that person's passage out of the earth is a spiritual experience. So just like how death is a spiritual experience, birth is also a spiritual experience. And I don't believe birth, for the most part, should be taking places in the hospitals. Birth is not considered to be a medical condition. It's a natural. You go to the bathroom to do number one. You go to the bathroom to do number two. Well, giving birth is as natural as that.
Right.
Right? It's a natural. And so we have seen where birth has now been passed on to the hospitals, and women are being induced unnecessarily to do cesarean section. Women are being induced with labor. You've got to watch the show that's coming up.
Yeah.
In the show that's coming up, you know, the midwife talks about the benefit of after giving birth, the child being allowed to still being attached to the mother, because there's essential blood that is being passed on from the mother to the child. It's a spiritual experience. A lot of the spiritual problems that we have in this nation is because children were touched by unqualified spiritual persons. And so because the first touch that they got were defiling touches. Some of the persons, you don't know what they're involved in spiritually. You don't know the state of mind that they were in. You didn't know the argument that they were in before they left home to come to deliver that baby. Birthing is a spiritual process. So for the whole month, for the whole of Child's Month, we're going to be looking at that. But I also believe that across Jamaica, we should have natural centers. Some of the centers that we have, our retreats. So we shouldn't just be able to offer retreats and workshops. But I do believe that we should have centers where our women can come and give birth in a spiritual setting. Where women can come and give birth in a spiritual setting. A lot of the children who have been touched, they are defenseless, they are helpless. A lot of them who have been touched, that's where they got their negative aura from. That's where they got their negative spirits from, just by just a person who touched them. So these are essential areas of concern that I do believe should be the responsibility of traditional practitioners, but that these traditional practitioners must, to some extent, because again, even though birthing is a natural process, there are times when there can be difficulties and complications. So of course, medical involvement is important. So I do believe that what I'm saying there, it has to be a partnership between the government as well. Has to be a partnership between the government as well. But we can't rule out, the importance of these very important areas of natural medicine that we have lost. All right, we have about 3 minutes left in the show. I want to ask Quincy just to share a few words. I believe he's not traveling now, so he's stable. So I'm going to ask him, hopefully you can unmute yourself. I'm going to mute my mic, and I'm going to ask Quincy to share his last few words, and then Sean to share his last few words, and then we're going to close
His
out
last
tonight.
too much.
So as if you have two devices on, Quincy.
Yeah. Sounds like you got it, Quincy. Sounds like.
Oh, come on. Is that, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. One moment, please.
I want to thank everyone that logged on tonight. I want to thank you for your information. I want to thank everyone for being a part of the group. I want to thank Dr. Ben for what he's doing. There are not many people that does this, as we may all know at this point, given people like Dr. Seb, but we know that there's a risk. Some of the topics that he covers as far as natural birth is something that's near and dear to our hearts. We've outsourced, the birthing process, and we haven't thought about it from a spiritual perspective. And, hospitals being what they are, they are too they're always trying to avoid a legal problem. So what they will do is they will encourage you, and I know that I have several children, so I know that they'll encourage you to have a C-section when that's not absolutely what you need for that time. And of course, most females might know now that you can only have two. So by default, and I think that's my personal belief, of course. I don't want to you would say that is your belief. Because wait, if anyone looks at the news right now, the things not being said, it is in fact that the populations of certain countries are getting right. Somehow they're not having place the children that to replace the population, right? So we know of China and their one child policy, then they went to two, then they went to three. But if you know China right now, China and Japan is having a real crisis finding young people to take over those positions in their society as people get older, and they're trying to switch that around. But we know that places like Africa and even India has some of the youngest populations in the world, and this is why. This is something that they have not allowed their government to do to the individual people. The individual people still believe in natural birth, and they still believe in, spiritually consulting someone, even if they wind up in a hospital bed. And at a last resort, things like cesarean sections are what they will do, and it will only be to save maybe the mother's or the child's life, right? So we do need to keep an eye on what exactly is going on in the broader picture, right? What's going on in the in news and media, and see it for what it is. Don't let them tell you what is happening. You have to see it for what it is for yourself. So I want to thank Dr. Ben for another great, successful episode, of 60 Minutes with Mother Nature. I want to thank him for everything he does. It's a great effort to go out there for 60 minutes in the heat, up in the mountains, find these herbs, take pictures of them, present them to you, and bring them here for all us to see. So I want to encourage you to teach a friend, tell a friend, bring a friend to the show, and continue to send us your challenges. Continue to tell us your ailments. Tell us about challenges you're having medically that you have not been able to fix. And once again, thank you so much for signing on. Dr. Ben, you might be muted.
I want to thank you very much, Sean. Thank you for being on. Want to apologize, Chris. He did send in his apology because of issues beyond his control. He's not able to be here tonight. Want to thank Quincy for jumping on us a short notice. I want to ask him to please prepare for next week to be situated properly and to have images of his product being sent into Sean so that we can have them on properly displayed on the show next week. Want to thank everyone for being on. Thank you guys for your interaction. Billie Jean Bradshaw. I am Jen, master songwriter. Prudy Wilson, Cynthia B. And all those that have not called you out, singled you out tonight. You know yourselves. I have to single out this person because this person is joining us on Facebook. Where is she? One person that's joining us on Facebook, I think, is Miss Pratt. Miss Pratt, who is joining us on Facebook. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully next week we see more persons on. Alison Platt, thank you for joining us. And hopefully next week we intend to have a lively discussion looking at more herbs, looking at the use of more herbs, talking about indigenous medicine. Again, I just want to remind you to please go to our website, ICM.org, and support us by buying some of our bumper stickers. It's only $15, guys, for about 5. And then, see if you can get them placed on your vehicle to proudly help us spread the message. If you have any need for any consultation, Sean's number is on the screen. But you can also reach out to my office. Please reach out to my office at 876-309-4783. And I have another number. Hopefully next week I'll have that number because it's difficult for me to talk to so many persons. So I'm trying to put in place a system so that when you call, you don't say, I'm calling this number, call, not getting through, and become frustrated because I really want to hear from you, but I have to have a system in place to do it that is sustainable. Again, I want to thank you for being on tonight. Wonderful show. And see you guys next week, Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our herb walk. And then 8 p.m. for our live review show. Until next time, just remind you that your health is your responsibility, and the greatest weapon against sickness and disease is education, not medication. Bye-bye.